Hi, this video is part of Latin for Beginners, a self-study course which uses a traditional method of classical Latin instruction and emphasizes reading skills. The course is based on a public domain textbook, Latin for Beginners by Benjamin L. Duge. The text may be found at gutenberg.org, and a link is in the video description. There is also an online practice tool, as well as additional resources and materials for the course at selfstudyclassics.com. This video covers Lesson 7 of the text. Videos on Lessons 1 through 6 may be found in the Latin for Beginners YouTube playlist or in the videos section at selfstudyclassics.com. These videos are meant to reinforce the concepts presented in the text with examples, not to replace the text itself. So you'll get the most out of the video by reading over the lesson before watching. In Lesson 7, we learned that all the forms we have learned for nouns and adjectives are really just forms for one category of noun and adjective, the category with a nominative singular ending in A. This category is called the first declension. We also learned that nouns have gender in Latin, and that, barring a few notable exceptions, nouns in the first declension are feminine. But we don't actually learn any new forms or constructs in Lesson 7, so our practice will involve a review of previously learned forms and constructs, which incorporates some new vocabulary. Our first practice example is in casam gallinam portat. As before, we'll take it word by word. In is a preposition. It could mean in or on, depending on the context. Let's wait a little before deciding on its meaning. Casam is a noun in the accusative singular. It is the object of in. This is a good example of how the objects of prepositions in Latin may sometimes be in the accusative and sometimes in the ablative. Some prepositions, such as cum, only have objects in the ablative. Others, such as ad, only have objects in the accusative. Still others, such as in, can have objects in either case. The sense changes depending on which case the object has. If the object is accusative, in implies some motion towards the object, so it would mean in the sense of into. If the object is ablative, the meaning is more about location than motion, so the meaning is closer to on or inside. Here we have the accusative, so we will use in. Casam is the cottage. Gallinam is a noun in the accusative singular. We have no preposition to attach it to, so we're going to assume it's the direct object of the verb in the sentence. It means the chicken. Portat is a verb. It's singular, but there is no subject to which it agrees. So we do what we always do in this situation and infer a subject based on the form. The form, which is third person singular, implies a third person singular pronoun. This could be he, she, or it. We have no basis in the context for preferring any one of these, so we'll go with he. Portat would be he carries. That leaves us with in the cottage the chicken he carries. We put that in normal English word order to get he carries the chicken in the cottage. Here is our next exercise. It's a question. Quem deae ad insulam vocant? Okay, first word. Quem is a new vocabulary word for this lesson, but it is simply the accusative form of quis. Quis is the interrogative pronoun meaning who, so quem is whom. Deae is a noun, and it could be nominative plural, genitive singular, or dative singular, in a context in which we have not yet seen a subject, and where there is no noun to which we might attach a genitive. It makes sense to assume that this is the subject, and therefore a nominative plural form. If we encounter a good reason later in the sentence, such as a verb that doesn't agree with a plural subject, we can always revise this assumption. The meaning of deae, read as a nominative plural, is the goddesses. Ad is a preposition. It means to. The preposition ad calls for an object in the accusative. Insulam is that object. Its meaning is the island. Vocant is a verb. Its plural form agrees with the subject deae. We know this is a question, so we will use the form do call. The do and the call will be split up by the subject later in accordance with the English procedure for forming a question. Right now we have whom the goddesses to the island do call, but after putting it in English word order, we get whom do the goddesses call to the island? Let's try another. Ferae magnae in insula habitant. Let's look at the first word. We will assume ferae is the nominative plural subject of the sentence and translate it beasts. Magnae is an adjective which agrees with ferae in case and number, so it is likely communicating an attribute of ferae. It means large. In is a preposition. We discussed how it could mean either in or on, depending on the case of the object and the context, so let's wait a bit before assigning a meaning. Insula is an ablative singular form. It is the object of in. Its meaning is the island. Because an island is not really something you can be in, we will translate the preceding in as on. Habitant is a verb. It is plural in form to agree with ferae, the subject. Its meaning is live. So we have, beasts large on the island live. Let's make that sound a little better and say, large beasts live on the island. Okay, we're nearing the end. Ubi fera habitat. On to the first word. Ubi is a new interrogative adverb in the vocabulary for this lesson. It is like the other interrogative adverb we have learned, cur, but instead of why, it means where. Fera is a noun in the nominative singular and the subject. It means the beast. Habitat is a verb in the singular form. It agrees with the subject, fera. We are going to render it with a helper and say, does live, as we do often when we are translating questions, so that we can split the main verb and the helper with the subject later, as English likes to do. This gives us where the beast does live. In a more English order, those words are, where does the beast live? Okay, last exercise. As usual, the last one will be an English to Latin translation. My maidservants are laboring in your cottage. Let's take it word by word. My is the first person possessive adjective in English, so we are looking for some form of mea here. We won't know which form until we see what it's modifying, so let's proceed. Maidservants is a noun, and it's the subject of the sentence. It is plural, so we need the nominative plural form. That would be ancillae. Now we know our subject is plural, we can choose the correct form of mea, which would be mei. Our laboring is a verb. Its subject is maidservants. So we will need the plural form here, and that is laborant. In is a preposition. In Latin, it is also in. Yours is another possessive adjective, this time second person, so it will be a form of tua, but we'll wait to see what it modifies before we decide which form. Cottage is a singular noun, and the object of in. We are looking for the positional sense of in rather than the directional sense here, so let's use the ablative. The form would be casa. This means that tua, its modifier, should also be in the ablative singular, so its form would be tua. Altogether, we have meae ancillae laborant in tua casa, which we can shuffle around to sound more Latin and get to ancillae meae in tua casa laborant. And that is all for our Lesson 7 exercises. As always, the best way to achieve mastery of these concepts is to work a lot of exercises, and you can find plenty over at selfstudyclassics.com. Head to the practice section and choose Lesson 7. Once you feel confident about the Lesson 7 material, keep an eye out for the video on Lesson 8 of Latin for Beginners. Thanks for watching.